What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this week's rotation is full of what I feel are super underappreciated and underrated fragrances. These are some of the more enjoyable scents that I've gotten in recent memory. Some of these I've had for a while, but a lot of these are pretty new to the collection. And I got a few classics in here as well. And they just don't get enough love. And it's been an absolute joy to wear them, I have to say. So strap in and let's talk about it. It's week number 188 in the weekly rotation. Stay tuned. Starting off on Sunday was a pair of 1 millions, basically. During the day, I went with the Parfum. So this has become myself and my wife's personal favorite. So it has that playful bubblegum sweetness of the original, which, I mean, we might as well talk about them together. I wore this out the shower that evening because I was revisiting this to do the battle video between these two and the Elixir, which check that video out if you haven't yet. And I have to say, you have that bubblegum sweetness with the cinnamon spice and like woody tone, you know, a product of the 2010s for sure. Whereas this, you still capture a lot of that, but there's a little bit more of this sunscreen, coconut, creamy tuberose type of feel. For being as bubblegum sweet as this actually is, it still has the playfulness, but it has more of that summertime aura to it for being a playfully sweet fragrance. Like, it kind of melds two worlds together that typically don't go together, because most of the time, this kind of sweet, you don't really want in high heat, but it oddly works. Very powerful, beautiful fragrance that I just can't get enough of. I'm a big fan of this one. I think it's officially my favorite version of 1 million now that I finally have a bottle and I've been able to spend more time with it. And then, like I said, when I got out the shower, I decided to revisit the original. There's still nothing wrong with this one, guys. Obviously, if you've never had it before, it's worth trying. If you want to dive into the flankers and you've never tried the original 1 million, you should start with the original because most of the flankers tie into this one. This is one of those fragrance lines that they're good about having the original's DNA in the new versions of it. And I like when they do that with designers because that's the proper way to flanker. Reimagine the original in some form or fashion. That's kind of what happened here. So during the day was Paco Rabanne's 1 million Parfum, and out the shower, 1 million the original Eau de Toilette. Moving into Monday, now these are two that you don't hear anybody talk about. So the one during the day was recently sent to me in a fragrance haul by the good folks over at Aroma Concepts. And if you want citruses and fresh florals that have a kind of watery beachfront vibe, you want to check out Paris Corner's Qissa. The bottle's gorgeous, first and foremost. Love this stuff. Love, love, love. Recently did a full review on it. So it's fruity citrus, a little sweet, but very watery. It's a mouth-watering type of fruity citrus. The florals here is a lot of juicy ylang-ylang. I get a hefty hit of yellow floral. There's some other white florals in here as well. A very clean musk, but it has this ozonic, aquatic-like feel to it that really fits the color scheme of this particular bottle, with performance not quite being a beast, but definitely well above average. This is a pretty strong fragrance overall, and it's cheap. I mean, I don't know how easy it would be to find a sample. I haven't seen any samples for sale anywhere. You might have to blind buy this one, so I guess gather as much information as you possibly can. Try to sample when available, but this is kind of under the radar. Not everybody knows about this one. I don't know what it's a clone of. If it is a clone with Paris Corner, I would assume more than likely it's a clone. I have no idea what of, but as an individual, this is one of the better, slightly more unique floral fragrances I've come across in a while during the day. Paris Corner Qissa. And then we got the shower. This gets no love. It still has the freshness of the line, but a little bit more dense, woody, and spicy overall. It is Tommy Bahama's Maritime Triumph. I'm quite the fan of this one. I'm a fan of the entire line, honestly. It's all good. There's a little bit of fruitiness. There's a spicy, woodsy tone. Like I said, it's got that aquatic feel, but it's not quite as watery, airy, light, and breezy as like Maritime, Maritime Journey, or even Maritime Voyage. Deep Blue Has a lot more greens. It kind of smells more like Polo Blue Eau de Parfum in an Eau de Cologne concentration, if that makes sense. That scent profile with a lower oil concentration. This one's kind of the dark horse of the line. It's the least like the others. It kind of steps outside of the DNA just a bit while still not stepping too far away from it, because where it's still a great summertime wear. I would say this is the most evening appropriate in the line. Like if you're going to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville and you like Tommy Bahama fragrances, this is the one I would wear. Out the shower, Tommy Bahama Maritime Triumph. Moving into Tuesday, this is one that I love to revisit because performance leaves nothing to be desired, but it's not overwhelmingly strong, but it stays on the skin all day and it constantly reminds you it's there. It's centered around this beautiful water jasmine note. There's a bunch of things going on here, from citrus, fruits, florals, musks, and so green notes. Complex note breakdown, but beautiful stuff is Rose and Marius. This translates to a stopover in the creeks. Some of you have heard me praise this one before. Huge fan of this one. Love it. It was so nice to revisit. This is one of the better niche fragrances I picked up in the last year. Very unisex. Ladies, you'll absolutely enjoy this. It actually leans a little to the feminine side because there's so much florals here. But like I said, water jasmine. That is the main note here. Very fresh. Watery florals. Not really all that sweet. Not super citrus dominant, but watery and like literally picture water lilies floating on the and a small waterfall while standing on the rocks in a creek. Like think of going to Tennessee, standing in the creeks. Kind of that vibe, you know, for those of you that have been out there at Tennessee, Gatlinburg area, places like that. If you've ever vacationed or you live in that area, going through the creeks over there, kind of that smell of the running water, standing on the rocks and the stones and everything. Just being outdoors, this kind of evokes that. Obviously a little bit more flowery than that particular situation, but to give you guys kind of an idea of like the first thing that comes to mind involving creeks and, you know, stepping on the stones and the water and all that good stuff, it evokes those kind of thoughts and feelings. It's beautiful, quality stuff. Like I said, great performance. The first time I wore it, I got 3 compliments. The very first time I wore it, because while I wouldn't call it the most unique scent profile of all time, I don't have anything else that smells like this. This is potentially, but this is one of the 5 best floral fragrances I own. And that encompasses all of my iris fragrances too, because it's just that enjoyable to wear. Huge fan of this one. I encourage you, sample this fragrance. If you don't try anything else from the house, try a stopover in the creeks. During the day, that's what I wore. When I got out the shower, it was time for a good shave. So I went with my Zaharoff signature Tabac shave set and gave myself a few sprays of the fragrance. Aromatic leafy tobacco. It's kind of been my go-to shave set lately, so naturally, since I have the matching fragrance, I give myself a few sprays after the fact. Such a good fragrance. So this has a lot of notes that make for multiple different tobacco styles that are really good. Sweet tobaccos, boozy tobaccos, aromatic tobaccos, dry tobaccos, woody tobaccos. A little bit of everything's in here, and it's blended very well. Claude Deer did a phenomenal job with this particular fragrance. Very gentlemanly, everyday type of tobacco where it's classy. It's not some playful scent that's, you know, super sweet, though it has a lot of sweetness here. It's very well blended and balanced, I think is the better word. It's very well balanced to where nothing really takes over and makes it too much of any one thing. So I strongly encourage you, sample this one if you haven't tried it yet. But out the shower, had a good shave with Zaharoff signature Tabac. Moving into Wednesday was a very easy day. I just wanted something to spray, not think about, that I knew would smell good and hang out most of the day. I had a lot going on. We were out and about doing a lot of different things. So I went with Paradis de Sens Eden. Another one I've been singing the praises of recently. It's centered around woods and this ivy note, so it smells like a fresh green woody fragrance. There's some citrus at the top that adds freshness, though it doesn't have any acidic tones to it. It's nothing sharp or super juicy about the citrus. It's actually a little soapy, the way the citrus comes across at the top. Could be with the other aromatics. I want to say there's some lavender in here, and then it starts to settle into that ivy leaf with the woods. Takes over. It's the majority of what you're going to smell throughout the fragrance. It's quality, it lasts, it's present, it's not overwhelmingly strong, but it's far from weak. This is a true everyday wear for somebody that wants something on the softer aroma side. Now when I say soft, I don't mean weak. I mean, there's no rough edges, there's no animalistic tones, there's no sharpness to it, there's no salty tones. Like there's not, everything's just smooth, soft, a little powdery, green and woody. It's a very pleasant aroma that I think works for everything. Perfectly genderless, unisex, doesn't lean either way. Like I said, I've been singing the praises about this one. I do actually have another fragrance from the house that just came in today called Bliss that I have not touched yet, but I will be wearing in the next couple of days because I'm super excited because I love Eden. So I picked out another one. I have Bliss. We're going to check that one out over the next couple of days. But during the day, it's always a pleasure to wear a Paradis de Sens Eden. Then I got out the shower. 90s classic. Haven't wore this in a while. Haven't wore it much since I got it, but Michael Jordan Cologne. You 90s kids, you know all about this one. A lot of cypress, kind of dominated with cypress. Big alcohol hit at the top, so give it a second before you sniff it. But bright, fresh green, citric, and musky. It's the smell of the 90s. Without a lot of aquatics or anything like that. Like, don't think Acqua di Gio, but kind of a cross between Acqua di Gio and Issey Miyake in some ways, because you get a lot of the green feel from that. Not the same greens, but a green feel nonetheless. Good stuff. Doesn't last for crap. You can get it for like $12 all over the place. Burlington notoriously has Michael Jordan fragrances. It's a nostalgia pick for me. It was nice to reach for. The night before I had sprayed it on my arms, so this particular night I just kind of doused myself in it. I probably did like 8 sprays. And then like 2 hours later, I think I did like another 6 sprays or something just to kind of relive it because it was pretty much faded at that point. It is an eau de cologne. It doesn't last like a Tommy Bahama eau de cologne does. It's you're getting what you pay for. It does smell like a $12 fragrance these days, but it's a nostalgia pick that this was the jam at one point in time. It wasn't as cheap smelling as it is currently back in the 90s. Many reformulations over the years, I'm sure. But it's still nice to reach for once in a while because I'm such a nostalgic type when it comes to the 90s. That was my era. That was my favorite decade. So out the shower, Michael Jordan Cologne. Moving into Thursday, you want to talk about underrated, and I've been enjoying the hell out of this one since I got it. It was my scent of the day. Then when I took a shower before we went to dinner, because we went to Texas Roadhouse, I decided to spray it again instead of going with one of my typical date night fragrances because I was just loving it. From Jacques Fath, Vers les Sous. Some of you have been seeing me talk about this one. This is underappreciated. There's kind of a bitter, woody fig note to it. Warm, sharp lemon, greens, spices. There's a lot going on here. It is so good. Even has some ambroxan for a little bit of that fresh shower gel feel, musky tone as it dries. I'm such a fan of this. When I picked this up for $41 back when I think it might still be in stock from Fragrance Buy for this 50 ml. I'm such a fan. It's the one I've been reaching for and spraying. I have Green Water, I have Caraco Bay, I have Velours Boissé. Beautiful boozy fragrance, by the way. But this, such a classic, classy masculine scent. Like, it's a timeless profile with a few tweaks and twists to kind of add a modern touch to it. Like I said, the way the fig comes across and the addition of ambroxan mixed with this classic citrus aromatic style, that timeless 60s, 70s powerhouse citrus aromatic scent profile, but with quality oils and raw materials here. This is good stuff. And, doesn't hurt that it's a extremely powerful quality magnetic cap and collar. I'm loving the brand. I have to say, I am loving Jacques Fath's offerings, and I think my favorite has become Vers les Sous. I wore it during the day, and I wore it again that evening to dinner. Moving into Friday, a brand new release. I don't think you can call this one underrated yet because it just came out. Did drop a first impressions shorts video so far. We'll be doing a full review. Still spending time with it. It is from Ralph Lauren. This is Ralph's Club Elixir. I like it. I like it quite a bit. It's very earthy. When you spray this, so there's iris here. It's listed as orris butter on iFragrance's website. And it's not a load of patchouli to give me this earthy tone either. It smells like an earthy violet smell, like the root of the iris flower, like mixing with the vetiver that's in here, I'm guessing. It's got an earthy feel. I'm sure the patchouli is playing a part Now, as it starts to settle, it becomes, you get the aromatics, it does tie into the DNA, but it becomes a very woodsy, lightly smoked fragrance with a soft, powdery touch. The iris takes an extreme backseat pretty quickly. Like, this one settles down quickly. I will say, I don't want to spoil too much for the review, but this is not the kind of Elixir performance you guys have come to expect with Le Male Elixir, with Sauvage Elixir, with 1 Million Elixir. Those are really loud. This is not really loud. This is more subdued. This wears like a heavy oil concentration. It sits close to the skin. The Parfum, I think, projects a little more than this, but this has a really good sillage. It's not a huge cloud around you, but it's a consistently thick aroma, and it's not as youthful and playful as the other two. Now, I will say, based on the short amount of time I spent with it, I think I still prefer the Parfum over it, but I do think this is better than the original because the original is so mass appealing, run-of-the-mill cookie cutter. The addition of the way they formulated this is very welcomed. I think it's a second place finish to the Parfum. I think that's kind of the happy medium between the two but there's people that are really going to like this and there's people that are going to be disappointed by this as well. So this is going to be a polarizing release that I think is very good, just not quite as good as the Parfum. So during the day, the brand new Ralph's Club Elixir. Then when I got the shower, speaking of underrated fragrances, this is such a joy. It's got a little bit of YSL meets Bleu de Chanel with some tonka bean. It's Mercedes-Benz Man Bright. I still like this one. And you can get it super cheap now. See, I paid full retail when it was an exclusive to Perfume Mania. Don't believe that exclusive stuff. Because now you can get it for 30 some odd dollars. I paid 90 something, $100 after taxes or whatever, which I had no problem doing at the time because I wanted the damn fragrance. And I knew if I waited, this might happen, but is what it is. Beautiful, bright bergamot. This is a very juicy and bright bergamot smell, sparkly, if you will. It's got like this aldehydic, ozonic feel to it. Very watery, zesty almost, without being real spicy. And then it settles into a sweet tonka bean. There is a little powderiness that goes with this fragrance. Average performance, nothing crazy, about 6 hours in longevity. This is good stuff. It's kind of like Bleu de Chanel with a twist in many ways. It's not exactly Bleu de Chanel, but you can tell they were walking a similar parallel path to it, kind of keeping an eye on what Bleu de Chanel was doing while still trying to do their own thing, I think would be a good way to put this. Out the shower, underrated. Still good stuff. Mercedes-Benz Man Bright. Finally on Saturday, such a bold move. When I blind bought this, I thought it was a bold pickup, and it turned out to not be. It smells like the bottle looks. It's Moschino Toy 2 bubblegum. It smells like pink bubblegum that dries into a nice rose fragrance with some fruitiness. Cherry blossom peach kind of smell with some rose. And literally, when this opens, double bubble. Big bucket of individually wrapped bubble gums. Bubble yum. Not quite bubblicious, but like bubble yum, the tape, the measuring tape looking pink bubble gum. Traditional pink bubble, big league chew, traditional pink bubblegum smell. That is this. I love it. I love it. I don't really think it's all that feminine, fellas. I think you just got to get over the bottle. Which, for those of you that had Toy Boy, you probably won't have a problem with the bottle. I don't know how you feel about pink. I love pink. But I also love this fragrance. I think it's underrated. I paid $50 for a 50 ml. You can get the 100 ml for $45 to $50 from discounters online, but I like finding stuff out at the rack stores. That's part of the fun for me. I was excited to I just never see something like this. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I looked at the notes because I figured it was bold. I wanted to make sure it wasn't too girly. Turns out, not all that girly. I don't find it's all that feminine leaning. If you like bubblegum sweetness, you'll like actual authentic bubblegum. It's much more of an authentic bubblegum than something like a 1 Million and 1 Million Parfum, where that's a bubblegum sweetness. This is more chewing gum. According to Parfumo, it's actually chewing gum listed in the heart. So beautiful stuff. Average performer, nothing crazy. 6-7 hours of longevity. I'm liking this though. I'm liking this quite a bit. I see myself reaching for it quite often, more than maybe a lot of other fragrances, because it's so fun. This is just a fun fragrance that has no real situational awareness. Like, I wouldn't call it a great work fragrance. Obviously not a great dinner time fragrance. casual kind of stuff, but just fun, just to be different, basically, is what this fragrance is. This is just when you want to be different. So, during the day, and I actually wore it out the shower as well. Moschino Toy 2 Bubblegum. Well, that was this week's rotation, and until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. What'd you guys wear this week? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. It's my favorite comments to read every single week. For those of you looking for an update, moving in less than a week, the day this video goes live, I will be loading the truck in exactly 1 week. So, and then we'll be heading back down south. So pretty excited for that. A lot of stuff's been getting packed and changed and all that stuff, and getting ahead of the game on content. But I appreciate you guys for watching this. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the fragrances I wore this past week and you give them a spray now, I'm pretty confident you'll thank me later, because these are really underappreciated. They deserve a little love. Give them some love. Have a good one, guys.